They tried to blame me for fraud, but the audit proved it was them. The day HR called me in, my boss slid a folder across the table and said, "Adrian, you've been implicated in financial fraud." My throat went dry. Fraud? I had worked 12 years at this company without a single blemish. But there it was, forged signatures, fake invoices, payments that didn't add up, all with my name tied to them. I wanted to scream. This wasn't my work. Someone was framing me. For weeks, I thought my career was finished, my reputation ruined. But one independent audit uncovered the truth and flipped the case against the very people who tried to bury me. Before I show you how it all unraveled, subscribe to Lawful Payback and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. My name is Marcus Rivera, 42 years old, from San Antonio, Texas. For more than a decade, I worked at Northfield Supply Chain, a large logistics and warehousing firm that moved goods across the country. I was a senior accounts manager, the guy who made sure vendor payments were processed, contracts honored, and numbers balanced. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. I was the type of employee who showed up early, stayed late, and triple-checked every figure. Over the years, I earned a reputation as dependable, even boring. But boring keeps a company running. I had a wife, Clara, and 2 kids in middle school. We weren't rich, but the job gave us stability. Until 2 colleagues decided stability was something I didn't deserve. It started with whispers. Derek Cole, a flashy sales manager, and Melissa Grant, a procurement officer, had been living larger than their salaries explained. New cars. Weekend trips. Expensive watches. I ignored it at first. Office gossip wasn't my problem. But then invoices began disappearing. Vendors called, furious about unpaid bills. When I checked the system, the payments had been approved, with my login ID. I panicked. I checked logs, receipts, emails. Nothing made sense. My password was secure. But someone had gone into the system under my name and approved fraudulent payments. Weeks later, HR summoned me. On the table were copies of wire transfers, fake invoices, even falsified signatures. "Marcus," my boss said gravely, "this doesn't look good." The auditors flagged over $150,000 in questionable activity, and it's tied to your account. I felt the room spinning. I tried to explain, but the HR rep cut me off. "Unless you can prove otherwise, this could mean termination, or worse. Fraud. Career ending. Possibly criminal." I went home that night, numb. Clara sat with me at the kitchen table as I buried my head in my hands. "They're setting me up," I whispered. "But I don't know how to prove it." The following weeks were hell. Word spread through the office. People avoided me. Clients stopped returning calls. My boss treated me like I was guilty before the case was even closed. At home, the bills stacked higher. Clara's paycheck from her teaching job wasn't enough to cover the mortgage and kids' expenses alone. I barely slept, haunted by the possibility of handcuffs, a ruined reputation, and losing everything I'd built. At one point, I even considered resigning. Maybe walking away would protect my family from the shame. But Clara grabbed my hand. "Marcus, you didn't do this. If you quit now, they win. You need to fight." That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going down quietly. Northfield hired an outside audit firm to comb through the finances. At first, I dreaded it. If they believed Derek and Melissa's lies, I was finished. But then, during a tense interview, the auditor asked me, "Mr. Rivera, do you normally approve invoices outside of business hours?" "No," I said. "Why?" He showed me a log, my account approving invoices at 2 a.m. and on weekends. I felt a spark of hope. That wasn't me. I don't even have remote login at home. The auditor raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Over the next weeks, they dug deeper. Metadata revealed the logins came from Derek's laptop. Melissa had been the one uploading fake invoices, but they rerouted approvals through my account. Piece by piece, the scheme unraveled. Derek and Melissa had created a shell vendor, funneled payments through it, and framed me as the fall guy. And the audit caught them red-handed. HR called me back in. This time, the tone was different. "Marcus," the HR director said, "we owe you an apology. The audit revealed significant fraud. And you weren't the perpetrator." Relief flooded me. Derek and Melissa were summoned separately. I'll never forget the shouting from down the hall. "You can't prove anything," Derek barked. Melissa hissed, "This is a setup." But the auditors calmly laid out the evidence: IP addresses, timestamps, forged invoices, wire transfers into accounts linked to Derek's cousin. The room went silent. They had no defense. Within days, Derek and Melissa were terminated. Security escorted them out in front of the entire office. The same people who once whispered about me now stared at them with disgust. But it didn't stop there. The auditors referred the case to law enforcement. A criminal investigation followed. I later learned Derek took a plea deal, while Melissa faced trial for wire fraud. Both of them went from driving new cars to facing prison sentences. Meanwhile, the company quietly reinstated me. My boss tried to smooth things over. "Marcus, you understand, we had to follow protocol." I stared at him. Protocol is one thing. Treating me like a criminal before the facts were in is another. To their credit, Northfield offered me a raise and an apology letter. But the real victory wasn't the money. It was walking back into that office, head high, while the people who tried to ruin me were gone. Months later, I was promoted to Director of Finance Controls, the very role Derek had once bragged would be his. The irony wasn't lost on me. One afternoon, Clara and I sat at the kitchen table again, only this time with a bonus check lying between us. She squeezed my hand and said, "I knew you'd prove them wrong." But the sweetest moment came a year later, when I attended an industry networking event. I saw Melissa's brother there, trying to sell consulting services. He recognized me instantly, stammered, and looked away. I smiled to myself. Justice doesn't always come quickly. But when the truth surfaces, it cuts sharper than any lie. Today, my reputation is stronger than ever. Vendors trust me. Clients respect me. And my kids? They know their father never gave in when he was framed. If you believe betrayal should never go unpunished, subscribe to Lawful Payback. The next story will shock you even more.